First of all,
Bad word.
this election. That's not controversial to say, right? Like, nobody's having a good time right now. I assume. I don't know, maybe you guys just really enjoy the political drama. I do when it's talking about the past, but right now I am just burnt out on modern politics. So, this is the last thing involving modern politics I'm going to touch for a while. And the only reason I'm doing it is because I said I would already, before I felt as burnt out on modern politics as I do right now. So, I don't know how I'm even going to approach this today. I'm not sure exactly what to expect. We've got Epic Lloyd clearly reprising his role as Donald Trump. I'm very excited to see how Nice Peter plays Joe Biden. I don't even know how you would work out Joe Biden. Joe Biden's kind of punchy. Like, I watched the debates, and though he's not exactly like Trump, Trump is very punchy. Joe Biden can be pretty punchy as well, and I remember those old VP debates, and he can do a good one-liner, so maybe this will work. Maybe this will work. All right, let's just get this out of the way, guys. I'm ready to be done with it, but I'm gonna try to enjoy it. Just because I'm burnt out on modern politics doesn't mean I'm just going to be a sourpuss this whole time. I'm going to try to have a good time. Because I'm sure this is going to be fantastic if it's anything like the other election battles. So, let's do this.
It's the DJT, getting it on. The Teflon Don on the White House lawn. Against whips like you, I'll win a third term. Your campaign's like your family. Crash and burn.
He said that thing, not the crash and burn thing. Ooh, that's low right there. He's actually been kind of trolling the third term thing. I assume he knows he's not allowed to do that, and he's just messing with people. Yeah, like, he's come out and basically said he likes to just trigger the libs, basically. And honestly, I don't even care when he does stuff like that. That stuff doesn't bug me at all, because honestly, if people are going to get triggered over the stuff that's clearly over the top, clearly joking, they're focusing on the wrong stuff. Like any president, if you can't find something a little bit better to jump on them than something like that, that's clearly prodding people, trying to get them all worked up, then I don't know what you're doing here. Let me go back a little bit. I like the Teflon Don thing. I thought that was really good. And something about his Trump impression has changed, though. It's a little different than it was last time around. I know when you are like an impressionist and you don't do an impression for a little while, it's hard to jump back into it. So I guess it's kind of changed over time. He's gotten more, I don't remember if he was that squinty last time. He's really exaggerating the facial features. I mean, I guess he did that in the last one too, but there's something about it in this one that's really standing out.
Like you, I'll win a third term. Your campaign's like your family. Crash and burn.
Oh, that hurts.
Resist me? That's a riot. Why'd you step behind the...
Oh, God. I do like one thing. Donald Trump, he is like a wrestling heel. And a heel in professional wrestling is the bad guy. He does things to get you worked up. And I like that they're leaning into him being the bad guy thing. And I don't think anybody is going to be under the impression that the ERB people are raving conservatives. I don't think anybody is under that impression. But it will give people room to be like, oh, you're not being fair to him. This isn't even fair. You guys are writing Donald Trump as the bad guy. But, you know, writers have their own perspectives as well. It's hard to be completely unbiased, especially if you have to play a character that you probably disagree with a whole bunch. I think he would be portrayed much different, probably less whiny if he was played by somebody who respected him a little more. Let me back. Oh god, that's awful. Oh, the Soleimani thing. I'm surprised that they mentioned that. with Trump, it's so weird because there's so much material to work with. The Soleimani thing, that was huge news at the time. But now that we've had the pandemic and stuff, like, and nobody talks about that anymore. It doesn't seem like it's that big of a point. But there is a lot to talk about there. Wasn't Soleimani, like, fighting against ISIS? I know he might not have been necessarily a friend to the United States, but it's so weird how the U.S., we find ourselves fighting the people who are fighting our enemies. Like, we are really spread out in that sense. We find ourselves on both sides of a conflict often, and that's it's a bit odd. Going back. I'm not even really trying in this one. I hope you can tell. Trump's got some gun bars though. I like that. The 45. That's clever. That's clever. I really like that. Ooh. Like China. I'm not a little girl's shoulders, so you can't touch this MC stammer. Oh God! Like, can I run that back a little? Because I feel like I didn't catch the beginning of it. I'm not a little girl's shoulders, so you can't touch this MC stammer. Oh yeah, like Joe Biden's a creepy dude. You can't escape that, and it's weird. This whole thing has been difficult because a lot of the social stuff between Trump and Biden, while there's like gulfs between them in a lot of ways, they do have little things. They're both kind of just creepy old men in a lot of ways. So if you're attacking somebody, you want to make sure they have nothing to go back on you with. If I'm Biden, I'm breaking out the Jeffrey Epstein lines. Oh, that. I kind of like that line. Selling hate in America. You're selling hate in America. That's so interesting. Trump has this weird thing where he can attack America and it's okay, but when other people do it, they hate America. And he's kind of, I don't know, he's very good at framing it because people don't call him out for it as much as they should. And when they do, they always get dismissed because he ran on Make America Great Again, which implies, like, it's not great. So he's being highly critical, and then when other people are critical, he flips it and he's like, you hate America. Like, that's... It takes a good marketer, I guess, to pull that off. So Trump has always had that going for him. However, I think a lot of his contradictions have really come back to haunt him this time around. When you are such a big talker when you're running for office, you have to really live up to that, or you can't really be that bomb thrower that he was in the beginning because he's been in office those past 4 years. He can't be like, why didn't you do anything about it? If he didn't do anything about it. And he's got to be like, oh, why didn't I do anything about it? That's kind of one of the tough things and why I think it's been difficult for him to attack Joe. I think Trump was really good at attacking from the outside. Now that he's on the inside, there's that little bit of element where it's like, yeah, you've been in office for a little while now, so anytime you attack Joe Biden, now people can look at his own record a little bit more. So he's got to be a little bit more careful. He has not always, but there are some attacks that I expected to hear from Trump that we've just not been getting. He's not the same kind of aggressive he was with Hillary.
The pain of losing loved ones is something I have seen. So I know how you must have felt when they killed Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, okay, that right off the bat, I was just thinking that, and that was kind of an obvious one, though. I'm not too proud for predicting that line would happen, because, like, yes, if he's coming at you for being creepy, that's what you do. And it works. I think that really lands pretty well, because there's one thing about being like creepy Uncle Joe who just doesn't respect personal space, and then there's being involved with this guy who's like a notorious sex trafficker. I mean, I know which one I would take the side of in that argument. It doesn't mean that creepy Uncle Joe is any less creepy, because he's a creepy dude. But I think that's a very good rebuttal.
So I know how you must have felt when they killed Jeffrey Epstein. Right there, she's for you. You should stick a love letters for Kim Jong-un. You're a wrestling heel. Nothing about
wrestling heel.
But you didn't even really write the heart of the deal, which you...
Oh yeah, I got this book. It was about I think it's called Authors in Chief. It's about presidents and the books they've written, and I've not opened it yet, but there is something interesting about it. If it hasn't done Donald Trump yet, an updated version of that book would have to do Art of the Deal, which is actually really cool. I'm going to have to look into that and see if it has a chapter on Donald Trump. It's a pretty recent book, so it's very possible that it could have. But yeah, Trump didn't write that. I don't think he wrote that. It might have been a situation where, like, he had input, but somebody else really put his ideas in order. I don't think Trump is... he doesn't seem to be very well written. It's hard to judge him by his tweets, because we've all written a bad tweet or whatever, but he doesn't seem to be very well written. I don't see him writing a book all by himself.
Tapped into the rage, red mad hatters. Well, let me tell you, Trump don't lies matter. I don't want to defund no police. I picked a DA for my VP. I'm not a communist, I'm not a socialist. I'm just an old ass man with some decency.
That is one of those things. Like, Trump's attacks on Hillary, they rung pretty true. I think a lot of his attacks on Joe Biden, and you can attack him for some stuff, but it's weird. Like, I saw Trump try to get Joe Biden on the crime bill, but then at the same time, he's trying to be, like, the president of law and order. So when you do those two things, they just don't work the same. When he's attacking Hillary from the outside, he's like, you're outsourcing jobs and stuff. That can speak to people, and you don't have to look back at Trump's record, because he had no record yet on that. I guess it is easier to attack from the position he was in before. Now they try to paint Joe as a communist. I know communists. I know Marxists. I know raging lefties. None of them are excited about Joe Biden. That's just not reality here. He is incredibly moderate for a Democrat. He was one of the more conservative people on the stage in the primaries. And if you can't honestly represent your opponent, attacking them, you're really relying on people to just kind of take your word for it. And the people who are going to take his word for it are the people who are already in his camp. You need to be able to demonstrate something. He's not a communist. That's just flat out false.
No matter what you try to say, global warming ain't kids. You pulled out a parachute or pulled out a Stormy Daniels. I ain't sleepy, I'm tired of you, Donald Trump. You're fired.
He is sleepy. This Joe Biden, I wasn't sure what to expect here. He looks really good. Like, that's a pretty good Joe Biden. The voice is a weird choice. I mean, it's nice Peter. It's Nice Peter's voice. He only has, like, so much range to work with. When I think of Joe Biden, he does have a little bit more of a booming voice than what Nice Peter has. I wonder if the pandemic has influenced casting in this situation, or if he would have played him anyway. If otherwise, maybe they would have gotten somebody else to play Joe Biden. Obviously, Epic Lloyd is going to end up playing Trump again. But I really do wonder if... And visually, this feels more like one of their slightly older battles. When they did the presidential battle, the second one, they had like a slightly different stage setup, They had them sitting in the chairs and stuff, and it's just the way it's shot was a little different. This is more, it feels more like old school ERB in the way it's framed, and maybe that's also because of limitations based on the pandemic. I'd imagine their resources are a little bit different this time around.
Hey, sleepy, I'm tired. You, Donald Trump, you're fired.
Only thing getting fired on my watch is tear gas from law enforcement.
Ooh.
America great, you unleash Antifa and keep America like Portland. Ain't nothing gonna beat me. No person, woman, man, camera, TV. They impeached me. I still walked out of D.C. looking peachy.
That is something you can't really take away from Donald Trump. He's had an amazing control over narrative. And not that he was able to force people to go under like a certain narrative that he wanted, but he was able to discredit the narratives that were against him. People went after him so aggressively, and after a while, they started seeming kind of silly for doing it. It's weird. You don't take a lot of the reports against Donald Trump nearly as seriously as you might have 4 years ago. It's something about how incredibly unapologetic he is. And I think there is some value in that. I think apologizing in a lot of ways does give all the credit in the world to attackers. But if you just kind of double down, there are people who are going to be like, these people say this, he says this, I guess it's 50-50, we don't know. And I guess he's taking advantage of that. And it's kind of a product of the fact that the media is a bit of a joke. A bit of a joke. But yeah, that's kind of how they've conducted things for so long, because there's like access journalism. People don't want to call out one side too hard, because then you won't have access to certain people and you won't get your stories the same way that you used to. It's really kind of a mess of a system we got going on.
You got the sloppy Joe but no beef. The only white privilege I see are those teeth. Maybe teach your son a thing or two about life. Like there's no hunting season for your dead brother's wife.
Oh.
Knight Rider shades are getting revoked like your Roe versus Wade. There's no blue wave. Forget it, not coming. It's like I tell criminals, Joe, stop running.
Oh god. And this is not just like a Donald Trump thing. I think this is like a like parodying just a lot of conservative talking points in general. Some of these I'm not sure. I don't remember if he said like all of these things, but there's a lot there to go with, and he talks a lot, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of what he has, what he's said and he hasn't. That the criminal lines, like when they lean into the rioting and stuff, and in the police, it hits kind of hard. And if I kind of respect it being in your face, get offensive. There's no need to sanitize this stuff because this is the reality that we're in. So I guess I kind of respect that much. Let's go back a little bit.
There's no blue wave. Forget it, not coming. It's like I tell criminals, Joe, stop running.
Was Breonna Taylor running? You dog, whistling fool. I think your daddy would finally be proud of you. He was a racist asshole, too. What's this malarkey? Keep at it and you'll end up in...
Oh god, the Russia thing. It's been so. That was really funny though. I thought that was a nice little way to break up the lines there. The Russia thing. Yeah, the Democrats in general really dropped the ball with that. That could have been a big attack, but there are people like Rachel Maddow who like did it to death, and people just stopped taking it seriously. It's like it's one of those things. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't even matter anymore because nobody's gonna listen to you because it's been discredited so much in the court of public opinion, and sometimes that's just how it ends up being, and you'll end up in jail. Oh, let's go back a sec.
What's this malarkey? Oh, you keep at it and you'll end up in jail, hoss. I'll take it down like a mule and you're a mailbox. From all your wives to the SATs, everything you ever did, you just had to cheat. Cause you're too insecure to even look like a loser. Republicans is Herbert Hoover. When you
Okay, Herbert Hoover gets a lot of crap. I have heard a lot of people try to redeem Herbert Hoover. Is that a fly? Oh, are they doing the fly thing? That's funny. Okay, I've heard people try to give Herbert Hoover a little bit of credit because they make the argument that it was kind of like a wrong place, wrong time sort of situation that he was stuck in. I'd love to learn a little bit more about it. That's 20th century stuff, and it's stuff that I'm a little unsure about. I'm getting a little better with my 20th century stuff, but I don't know if I could speak on Herbert Hoover that much. But as far as the line on its own, that's pretty good. Everything you did, you had to cheat. Yeah, I heard he cheated on his SATs. It's one of those things, you never know which stories are true because there's so many of them. And honestly, I don't care too much about the president's personal life that much. It's weird because Joe Biden was also... Wasn't he also, like, accused of, like, a lot of plagiarism? That's kind of that's a weird line to do for a guy who, like, plagiarized in school. I believe that one ended up being true. That's kind of funny, though. That is funny.
You're too insecure to even look like a loser. You're the worst damn Republicans is Herbert Hoover. When you scooped up a sycophantic overall foods and became the Constitution's domestic abuser. 200,000 deaths lying at your door. You think they're suckers like McCain in the Marine Corps. Sometimes I can't tell from inside your room. When we go high, you go down on poop.
The Putin thing, like, yeah, okay, I get it. I get what you're going for there. But the McCain thing, that's worth doing there. Because that was a really bad move for Trump. Like, when he insulted John McCain, and you can insult John McCain all you want, I don't care, I never liked John McCain anyway, but he insulted him in the worst way, like, about getting caught. Are you kidding me? That was the dumbest, especially for somebody like Trump, who did not serve. That was so stupid. And if you want to go after John McCain, there's like a million reasons. The guy never met a war he didn't like. But you're gonna go after him for, like, what? Getting caught? Being tortured? That's stupid. That's the most brain deadest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Truth is, you're scared to lose. You got nothing in the bank that I owe you. You whine about balance like a bitch, but the only thing that's rigged is taxes for the rich.
The thing with Trump's financial situation, like, that stuff, like, some stuff on that came out recently, and I haven't really given too big of a look to it. I know that he's made a lot of money in office, and there's huge problem with the emoluments clause, where when you're in office, you're not supposed to take money from foreign governments. However, he has these sprawling business interests that he should have separated himself from. He should have separated himself from his companies right at the beginning. Like, Jimmy Carter wasn't allowed to keep his peanut farm when he became president, and somehow Trump's allowed to own hotels and stuff. But his financial situation is interesting. I always assumed that he was in, like, crazy debt, but he's also profited immensely off of being in office. So I wonder where he's going to be when it's all over. I'd imagine his debt was probably crazy, and I don't know what sort of capital he had just lying around. His financial situation seems to be a bit complicated, and me not being a great economist, I don't think I'm the best person to really comment on that. But I guess that's always what I assumed about him. I assumed he was in, like, a lot of debt because a lot of his companies went bankrupt. But you can have companies go bankrupt and walk out the door with a lot of money still. So I never really knew what to think about that.
You're a freeloader, change your name to Trump. I can't pay rent, but you can't get down a ramp.
Can't get down a ramp.
For the love of democracy, will you shut up, man?
What, no Lincoln? Is it because Nice Peter's already in it? You literally decide. That's funny. Is that it? Dude, that was sick, man. That was really fun. I didn't get as deep into this as I would have normally because, like I said, a little bit extremely burnt out on modern politics. I'm just kind of trying to enjoy this. And this is probably the last time I'm going to be touching on modern politics for a little while, because I think I need a cleanse. I've voted. I'm all done. I'll start paying attention in a little while. I'm at least going to chill out until the election is over, because I've done my part at this point. It's all over, man. What happens, happens. But they did a really good job, especially probably considering that their resources were definitely limited on this front. I thought that was... It's hard to judge here. It feels like they really leaned in Joe's favor in this one. I don't think it was necessarily fair. I think Joe went a lot longer than Trump as well. It's one of those things. In battle rap, I remember I've seen some... They do, like, timed rounds a lot of the time, but sometimes they'll do, like, a third round that is... where they don't have a time limit and they just go as long as they do. And Joe Biden, he just went through either that or the guy, I guess the moderator in this situation just didn't cut him off, man. You cut Joe's mic. He's just going on and on. But while I think some of Trump's lines hit a little bit harder, some of it felt just kind of edgy for the sake of edgy and didn't feel as creative as some of Joe's lines were. But overall, I think what pushes Joe over the top is the fact that he had more time. He had more time. He had more chances to get hits in. I think a lot of the best stuff for Trump... I think Trump's verse in the last one he was in the 2016 one, was one of my favorites in all of ERB. This one, it didn't hit quite the same. I don't know. I think the beat in the other one was a little bit easier to have fun with, too. This one was okay, but it felt like they were pacing it a little differently. I like the slow, methodical Trump of the... kind of like how he started in the 2016 one. He starts like slow and methodical and builds a little bit. That's all music stuff, though. That was fun. I'm very happy to be done, but I had fun along the way, and I'm looking forward to this season of ERB. Is this technically part of a season, or is this like a standalone thing because they had to do it? I don't know what's going on with them. So I did it, guys. It's over. We're all done. No more ERB until they come out with a new one. No more modern politics. Let's find some new stuff. Leave some stuff in the comment section below for me to react to, and I will see you guys next time. Later. Bye.